Welcome to another session of Golden Charcha. And to start with, I welcome CA Rajesh Jalan for accepting our invitation to be as a special addressee of the day. And I also welcome CA Kunal Agarwal for taking our invitation for the speaker of the day. So, first of all, I would like to ask Rajesh Jalan to address the session and welcome our participant as well as the speaker, and to commence the today's sessions as a special addressee. Over to you, Rajesh Jalanji.
Thank you, Amit Agarwal ji. Good evening, everyone. It's my privilege to deliver this special address on a very important topics, recent development and change in the capital gain under the Income Tax Act. Over the past few years, the capital gain provision have seen major change. The change have a direct impact on how individuals, corporate and investors plan pay their tax. These changes are not just policy level, they have direct impact on the way advise our client, plan, transaction, and ensure tax compliance. I will take 2 and 3 minutes to explain how this impacts, like taxation of debt of mutual funds. No more indexations. Earlier, if a person held a debt mutual fund more than 3 years, they would get indexation benefit. Now this has been removed. Market linked debentures fully taxed as short term. Valuation rule for unlisted share from April 2023, Rule 11 UA has been revised. Now additional valuation method and stricter rule apply for share valuation, especially when foreign investors are involved. This has have a direct effects on the startup, angel fundings, and private equity details. This change make it clear the capital gains planning is no longer a routine exercise. It now requires a deep understanding, regular tracking of amendments, and careful documentations. Whether it is an audit assignment, investment advisory, tax planning, or scrutiny support, capital gain provisions are coming into the picture more often. Friends, as a professionals, we need to constantly update ourselves because our clients rely on us to provide not just compliance support, but also strategic tax advice. The topics we are discussing today is highly relevant, and we are fortunate to have a speaker who will take us through the change in much more details. CA Kunal Agarwal. With these words, I once again thank you, EIRC of ICAI, for giving me this opportunity to speak. How I invite our esteemed speaker to share deeper insight on the important subject. Thank you. Kunal sir, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your welcome address to the audience. So I will quickly move on to welcome our speaker of the day, CA Kunal Agarwal ji. He holds a very vast knowledge on the topic for the day, that is the income tax and subsequent changes therein. So I welcome Kunal Agarwal ji, who is a chartered accountant by profession and running his own chartered firm in partnership in Siliguri. So over to you, Kunal ji, for the topic of the day. So I welcome on behalf of EIRC and all the attendees to CA Kunal Agarwal ji. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm audible. So, we are discussing on this capital gain topic. This will be a very short and crisp thing, so that we can have an overview of the whole subject. Since return filing season has started, I hope we all are busy with something or the other. So, capital gain plays a major role in our whole return filing ecosystem, because हम लोग देखते हैं कि हर एक दूसरा बंदा आजकल शेयर्स में डील करता है. एंड जब भी आपके पास, आप भी नोटिस कर रहे हो, हम लोग भी नोटिस कर रहे हैं, जब भी हमारे पास कोई भी फाइलिंग आती है, वेदर इट इज अ स्मॉल बिग अदर, जो भी, वी सी दैट उसमें कोई ना कोई शेयर्स, कोई ना कोई म्यूचुअल फंड, कोई ना कोई क्रिप्टो, एनी एनी स्मॉल और बिग ट्रांजेक्शन इज देयर रिलेटेड टू कैपिटल गेन. सो अभी ऐसा है कि हमें काम कम और सोचना ज्यादा पड़ेगा, क्योंकि कैपिटल गेन में भी इसीलिए इतना डिस्कशन हो रहा है, बिकॉज पहले क्या था, एक सिंपल कॉन्सेप्ट था. अभी क्या है कि पहले आपको एक कैलकुलेशन करनी पड़ेगी, फिर दूसरी एक और कैलकुलेशन करनी पड़ेगी कि ये सही है कि नहीं है, ये किसमें एसएससी को बेनिफिट मिल रहा है. और दूसरी बात ये है कि आपको अपने क्लाइंट्स को भी ट्रेन या फिर उनको समझाना पड़ता है कि आपका ये चीज चेंज क्यों हुआ, टैक्स ज्यादा क्यों लगा, टैक्स कम क्यों लगा. सो अभी हम लोग आज टुडे वील स्टार्ट ऑन द बेसिक कैपिटल गेन चेंजेस दैट इज रिक्वायर्ड फॉर अस टू गेट इनटू फॉर द फाइलिंग एंड एवरीथिंग. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द फर्स्ट टॉपिक फॉर टुडे. Amit ji, I hope the PPT is available and it is being seen.
Uh, yes, it is visible to all the participant, and you are audible as well.
Okay, okay, okay. So Amit ji, I am starting it for today.
Yeah, thank you.
सो फर्स्ट हमारा आज का टॉपिक विल बी ऑन कैपिटल गेन्स अमेंडमेंट्स. सो सिंस आज का सेशन इज अबाउट एन आवर, सो आई थॉट कि एक बोनस चीज डाला जाए. सो वी हैव एडेड सम पॉइंट्स ऑफ टीडीएस, सो दैट this is also a very vast subject about TDS, but some basic refresher for the daily work for the TDS. So first topic we will be discussing will be about section 222. जैसे हम जानते हैं कि पहले जो डिविडेंड ये क्या बोलते हैं बायबैक हुआ करता था, इट वाज चार्जेबल इन द हैंड्स ऑफ द कंपनी अंडर 115 QA. अब करेंटली क्या सिनेरियो है कि कंपनीज को ये बोला गया कि भैया आप जो बायबैक दे रहे हो, ये आपका बायबैक एक्चुअल में इज अ डिविडेंड, बिकॉज यू आर डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिंग इट आउट ऑफ प्रॉफिट. जब बायबैक होता है, देन इट द मेजर कंसर्न इज दैट दे आर डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिंग देयर एक्सेस reserves for the purchase of own shares. So now the amended section is 222F, which talks about deemed dividend. Section 222 में पहले A से E तक की sections थे. Now they have introduced a new section, section F, which talks about buyback. So 1st of October 2024 is the date where if there is any buyback of shares, it will be considered as deemed dividend. It will no more be taxable in the hands of the company. It will be taxable in the hands of the shareholder. So, if we go by this, then deemed dividend, if it is a deemed dividend, then we'll have to discuss this that अगर ये deemed dividend है, तो इसकी taxability क्या होगी? So this will be taxable under the head income from other sources apart from capital gain. So पहले क्या होता था, हम लोग बायबैक को शेयर की कॉस्ट से माइनस करते थे एंड देन वी यूज्ड टू गेट अ कैपिटल गेन और सच. Now it will be taxable under the head dividend and tax will be payable as per income from other sources. So अब we will be discussing why this is there in this our capital gain section, because आप जब शेयर खरीदते हो then you incur a cost. मान लीजिए हमने एक शेयर खरीदा 100 रुपए में and the company took it at buyback at 110 rupees, for example. So this 110 will be taxable under the head income from other sources, and that 100 rupees there will be a capital gain implication on that. So from 1st October, the sale consideration will be considered as zero, and the cost of acquisition will be our cost, and the difference will be the long term or short term. So difference will be automatically the cost, and this short term and short term or long term loss will be carry forward and set off as per section 74. So basically 222E ने आपकी ये सेक्शन को रिवैम्प करके इसको चार्जेबिलिटी हटा के कैपिटल गेन से आपका बायबैक को उन्होंने इनकम फ्रॉम अदर सोर्सेज में डिविडेंड की तरह ट्रीट किया गया. So we come to the next amendment in this, that is long term capital asset की definition में एक छोटी change है. अब जैसे हम जानते हैं कि लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल एसेट में तीन वो थे पहले डेट्स, 12 महीने, 24 महीने, 36 महीने. If government had time, they would introduce more 4 5 sections like 12 महीने, 24 महीने, 6 महीने, 50 महीने, वो कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. But now they have reduced it to only two parameters. Either it is 12 months or it is 24 months. So as we all know that from 23rd July, there has been major amendments with regard to capital gains. So now there will be only two holding periods, that is 12 months or 24 months. 12 months will be for securities, units of UTI listed or unlisted, units of equity oriented fund listed or unlisted, and zero coupon bonds. Now, for the 24 months period, there has been a change from 36. Earlier, there was a uh, point where units of debt oriented funds, whether listed or unlisted, were considered as long term only if they were held for more than 36 months. But now, since they are holding it for more than 24 months, it will be considered. So now there are only two holding periods, 12 or 24. So they need to amend this 36 month section. So they have changed it that agar wo units listed hongi, then it will be 12 months as in par with the listed equities. But now if it is unlisted, either bonds or debentures or gold precious metal bonds, then it will be 24 months. And as we all know, it for unlisted shares and debentures and immovable property, it is 24 months. Now we talk about the holding period. So amendment, we get to know that it is on 23rd of July 2024. But the holding period also has an amendment that it will be considered as 24 months only if it is the transfer takes place before 23rd of June. मान लीजिए हमने 22 तारीख को अपना फंड बेचा और उसमें अगर 36 मंथ्स होंगे तभी वो डेट ओरिएंटेड फंड को हम लोग लॉन्ग टर्म बोल पाएंगे, नहीं तो अगर वो शॉर्ट टर्म ही माना जाएगा. सो द डेट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बिकॉज नाउ we'll have to remember. First we had to remember only the section rates, but now we'll have to remember the dates, the holding period, and the time of transfer also. So basically this amendment was done only to simplify to the holding period of 2 days. But we'll have to remember while computing that 23rd July is a very important date while checking the date for either it is 24 months or 36 months for unlisted and 12 months instead of 36 months for unlisted for listed it. नाउ आप अगर अपने क्लाइंट लोग से डीलिंग करते हैं तो वी गेट टू नो दैट उनको गिफ्ट बड़ा मिलता है. सही बोल रहे हैं कि नहीं बोल रहे राजेश जी?
Rajesh is not there.
Okay. So जैसे we will see that if we are dealing with our clients, we get to see very frequently that the some person is giving gift to the wife, her husband, and is sort of like that. But earlier, company also used to give gift, and there was a loophole in that. Loophole was that a company giving gift to another company could plug that loophole and get it exempt. But now there has been a change in that. Earlier provisions were like company was giving gift to another company, it was not chargeable to tax in purview of section 47(3). But now government has plugged this loophole because the main essence of gift is an personal touch. Now a company giving gift to another company, there is no involvement of personal touch. It can only be an individual or HUF. So from assessment year 25-26, they have plugged this loophole and they have restricted that a transfer shall not be considered a transfer in terms of capital gain if it is done by an individual, by a company. This section has restricted the transfer only to individual and HUF. So now we can have a question that how can HUF gift it to members? So while studying this amendment, I got to know about a case law from the Rajkot bench in favor of Vinit Kumar, Raghav Bhai Bhalodia versus ITO, that if there is a gift by a group of relatives like HUF was exempt from tax. So in my opinion, An HUF is not considered as a relative under section 56(2), so we cannot consider it as a gift. But there was this case law which I thought we could include this in our session today. That this is a case law which I went through and I saw that it was considered as gift in that. But this is a professional opinion that we should all consider, that should we consider this as in our client's planning, tax planning, or we should avoid this. So now the basic amendment in this is that gift will only be taxable, only be considered in the purview of capital gain if it is not from individual and HUF. If it is any other entity apart from individual and HUF and it is giving gift, then it will be taxable under the head capital gain in purview of section 47. Now we all know that this section 112, 111 and all that has become a very big वर्क फॉर अस सिंस ना पहले हमें एक कैलकुलेशन करना होता, कैपिटल गेन निकालते, कैपिटल गेन पे टैक्स देते। अभी हमें एक कैलकुलेशन करना पड़ता है, फिर वी नीड टू डू अनदर कैलकुलेशन एंड देन we have to decide which one to go. So this has become a very tedious task for us also, but considering the law and the amendment, we need a discussion on this also. So indexation is a point where the basic concept of indexation is about the inflation adjustment. So earlier we had this indexation benefit available for to all, and there was a standardized rate and indexation benefit. But now there have been many changes in this. To consider this, we'll understand what these are. So consider there are now two rates of taxation. There are 12.5% without indexation, and option 2 is pay at 20% with indexation. So now there are many points which need to consider. अगर हमने प्रॉपर्टी 23/7 के पहले बेची है, then we have only an option to pay a tax at 20%. First question is this: if we transfer property, means land, building, anything, then we have an option of only 20% if we sell before 23rd July. Now question arises, if we sell after 23rd July. So the first pointer is that we have to have the asset acquired before 23rd July. अगर आपकी asset 23rd July के बाद खरीदी हुई है, then you do not get the option of point number 2, that is pay with 20%. Point number 1, that is pay with 12.5% without indexation. अगर हमने asset 23 जुलाई के बाद खरीदी है, मतलब उसका कैपिटल गेन तो अभी आएगा भी नहीं लॉन्ग टर्म, इफ वी आर कंसीडरिंग लॉन्ग टर्म, बट फॉर दिस सेक्शन वी आर डिस्कसिंग दिस पॉइंट. But if we have purchased it before and we are selling it after, then we have 2 pointers. या तो we can go for 12.5% without indexation, or we can go at the tax rate for 20% with indexation. Now the point is that हमें कैसे पता चलेगा किस पे जाना है? So law has clearly told which is beneficial to the SSC. The law's interpretation is similar, that which is beneficial to SSC, the SSC shall use that. But in the coming years, we expect that this should be simplified or something like that, so that there is a standardized thing. And we need to keep in mind about this 23rd July date, which is very important, that if it is before 23rd July, both the purchase and the sale, then we'll have to consider only 20% tax with indexation. We cannot consider the 12.5 without indexation rate. Now, if we go to 50AA, 50AA talks about the unlisted debentures and bonds. Now, 50AA talks about the capital gain concept in this. Now, this was considered that how is the capital gain calculated. Now, this is a very good question that now we see day by day that debt oriented funds are there and other many funds are there, calculations are there. So 50A has a simple calculation that full value consideration received or accruing because of transfer or redemption of unlisted debenture bond minus the cost of unlisted debenture bond less the expenditure incurred for the transfer. There is nothing much to discuss on this topic. So now we go to short-term capital gain. Short-term capital gains में दो ही चीजें हैं. The rate has increased from 15% to 20% if the transfer place takes on 23rd July or after. And other short-term capital gains shall be taxed at the slab rate. Now, if we go to long-term capital gain 112A, that is on shares, listed equity. So, if we go by this section, earlier we had 10% tax rate and 1 lakh was the limit. If income is more than 1 lakh, the tax rate is 10%. Now I've got a very interesting question from one of my clients कि सर हम तो कैपिटल गेन के काम कर चुके हैं and we have been very good at managing our taxes. So I said, how about it? So this guy came to my office and he told मेरा 2.25 लाख का कैपिटल गेन हुआ and मैंने कोई टैक्स नहीं देना उस पे. मैंने बोला ये तो बढ़िया बात सुना मैंने. तो फिर मैं लोग आपका कैलकुलेशन बताइए. बोले नहीं 1 लाख तक तो 23 जुलाई के पहले मैंने माल बेचा था तो 1 लाख तक तो वहां टैक्स नहीं देना था एंड 23 जुलाई के बाद मैंने जो बेचा उस पे मेरे को 1.25 लाख तक टैक्स नहीं देना था तो पूरे साल में मेरे को 2.25 लाख पे कोई टैक्स नहीं देना. So I think there is a very this wrong conception about this amongst the clients, not the professionals. Since we are very well versed with our law and we keep on regularly updating, and our clients are also very more inclined towards WhatsApp and Instagram that they see and they decide upon themselves. So this amendment 112A is basically that earlier 10% was taxable and 1 lakh was the limit. If our capital gain is more than 1 lakh, then we'll be chargeable at the rate of 10%. But now from 23rd July 2024 onwards, the limit has been increased to 12.5%, but the rate also has increased to 12.5%. So if any individual has a capital gain of supposingly before 23rd July of 70,000 and after 23rd July he has a capital gain of 80,000. So 70,000 which he has earned capital gain on 23rd July will not be taxable since it is below that 1 lakh limit. And after the 23rd July, that capital gain is 80,000. On that, 55,000 will not be chargeable. Means excess to 1 lakh 25, 70,000 to 1 lakh 25,000. So difference is 55,000. So 55,000 will not be chargeable. Remaining 25,000 will be chargeable at 12.5%. So we'll have to remember that this aggregate limit of 1,25,000 is considering the whole year, but till 22nd of July, we can only take up to 1 lakh, and after 23rd July, after 22nd July means 23rd July onwards, our limit increases to 1,25,000. So this limit is 25,000 increase, not a 1,25,000 increase. So there is also a calculation for this in this long-term capital gain. Supposingly we purchased a share before in 2005 or 2006, but at that time there was no capital gain. Capital gain on long-term equities has been incorporated after the 2018 budget. So if a share is not listed on 31st March, since we know that the valuation rules that if we have purchased a share before 31st January 2018, then we'll have to bring it to the fair value as on 31st January 2018, and then we'll compute a capital gain so that we are not taxed before in the before laws. So if a share is not listed and it is taxed at the time of transfer, so we'll have to get to the fair market value as on 31st March. Now the fair market value shall be the basic indexation concept. See, if we go by that, our cost of acquisition multiplied the CII of 1718 divided by the shares which were acquired in the by the SSC. If it was acquired before 2001, 1/4/2001, the value of share will be as per 2001. So this calculation has been introduced or explained so that there is no ambiguity in this law. So this is basically for those shares which have been unlisted while the purchase was there, but listed at the time of transfer. If it is still listed, then this calculation shall not work. There are few more provisions in which there have been changes. Supposingly 115 AB was 10%, it has been increased to 12.5. 115 AC was 10%, it has been increased to 12.5%. 115 ACA was 10%, it has been increased to 12.5%. 115 AD was 15%, it has been increased to 20%. 115 E was 10%, it has been increased to 20%. So now, to sum up the whole concept of capital gain, there are major takeaways for us for the today's this capital gain portion. That first pointer is that dividend will not this buyback will not be considered as buyback will not be considered as share transfer, and capital gain shall not be implied. It will be considered as a deemed dividend. For the second part, long-term capital asset will now have only two holding periods. That is either 12 months or 24 months. If it is unlisted debentures, it will be 24 months, and if it is listed, it will be 12 months. And it is same for 24 months for the immovable property concept. Third, for the gift portion, the company we previously company were gifting it to another company, and they could claim the exemption from tax. But now it will be considered as transfer. Only individuals and HUF are given the benefit of gift. That concept is also clear because gift requires basic personal touch. If there is no personal touch, there is no concept of gift. क्योंकि गिफ्ट हम किसी और को नहीं देते हैं, गिफ्ट अपने आसपास के बहुत करीबी लोगों को देते हैं. And number 4, indexation benefits have been reduced. Now we have two options to pay tax. First option is either we go for 20% tax with indexation, and second option is we go for 12.5% without indexation. But we'll have to keep in mind that अगर हमने 23 जुलाई के पहले बेचा है, then हमें खाली एक ही ऑप्शन मिलता है 20% का. I have come across various cases where client have paid advance tax and everything as per 12.5%, but they have sold the property before 23rd July. So we'll have to keep in mind while computing taxes. Now there is amendment in the section 50A for this unlisted bonds. There is a simple calculation for that. And for short-term capital gains, we have this rate change from 20% to 15%. हमेशा हमें ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा, 23 जुलाई का डेट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. 23 जुलाई के बाद नहीं है. we'll have to keep in mind that it is the 23rd July is the date. Before that we have only 15%. After 23rd July, on or after 23rd July, it is 20%. So, and other are as per slab rates. And for 112A, we have to remember this 1 lakh and 1,25,000 concept. That अगर वो 1 lakh है और 10% ही रहेगा, अगर वो 1,25,000 है, तो वो 12.5% रहेगा, provided it is say time of transfer is on or after 23rd July 2024. इसमें ये चीज ध्यान रखने की हमारी कि 1,25,000 की जो लिमिट है, that is very necessary that we do not cross that limit. Because I have received few instances in this कि हमने total complete ये 1,25,000 वाला जो था वो भी use कर लिया, 1 लाख वाला भी use कर लिया. So you'll have to keep in mind about that also. This fair market valuation is very necessary because since we are seeing that there are many companies getting listed in the at the either NSE or the SME platform, then they have there this concept shall be necessary for us. And after that, these are few amendments in this. So I hope this capital gain portion is done for this basic refreshing our memory for the capital gains. Since we have completed this capital gain, I would like to add TDS also with that. Can I go ahead, Amit ji?
Yes. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes. Yes, yes, Amit ji.
Yes, Kunal, you can go ahead with the other thing.
So can we can take the query for the capital gain portion if there is any.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh, so participant, you can write down your query on the chat box if you have any with related to capital gain. So there is a query from Sudipto Deji. For
Okay.
debt mutual fund, long-term capital loss with indexation sold prior to 23/7/24 is not allowed to be set off with LTCG of debt mutual fund on sales after 23/7/24 in ITR. Is this a flaw in the ITR?
For that mutual fund, long-term capital gains should loss with indexation sold prior
So
to
what he is asking is basically कि सर अगर मेरा
पुराना
कैपिटल
हाँ हाँ मेरा पुराना कैपिटल लॉस है, अभी मेरा प्रॉफिट आया है, उसके साथ एडजस्ट नहीं
रेट
करने
ऑफ
दे रहा है।
दे रहा है तो ये फ्लॉ है कि दिस इज द लॉ?
नहीं, दिस इज नॉट द लॉ। लॉ में ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि आप उसको एडजस्ट नहीं कर पाएंगे। लॉ में खाली वो डेट और टाइमिंग एडजस्ट किया हुआ है। लॉ में उन्होंने कोई ऐसा कुछ नहीं चेंज किया कि आप सेट ऑफ या कुछ नहीं कर पाओगे, क्योंकि वो सेट ऑफ रूल्स में कोई अमेंडमेंट नहीं आई है। इसमें क्या है कि ये हो सकता है आईटीआर 2 के फ्लॉ है। फ्लॉ से याद है, वी हैव वन मोर फ्लॉ। आई होप कई लोगों ने ये भी कंसिडर किया होगा कि मैं जैसे वी आर फाइलिंग फ्रॉम द कंप्यूटर सॉफ्टवेयर, आई केम टू this problem that if we are selling after 23rd July, it is not calculating indexation, and before 23rd July, it is calculating indexation. So I think there is a flaw in the ITR portion. So I think this is also the same flaw which we can consider. Mr. A sold an equity list.
And sir, there is another question from Anil Acharya ji.
Hmm.
Mr. A sold an unlisted equity share in March 25, held for 38 months, for 70 lakh. He reinvested 50 lakhs in the unit of specified startup eligible under section 54GB within 6 months. Whether exemption under 54GB is available, number one. Number two question is whether section 54F can also be availed simultaneously if we invest 1 crore in residential house. So, Mr. Anilji is basically asking whether the 54F
Both we
वो
can take both exemptions.
दोनों एक साथ का डिडक्शन मिलेगा कि नहीं मिलेगा?
सर आई हैव टू गो बाय 54 जीबी, क्योंकि 54 एफ में तो ऐसी कोई चीज नहीं लिखी हुई है। 54 जीबी को हमें एक बार कंसिडर करना पड़ेगा कि उसमें उसमें अगर कोई एक पर्टिकुलर वो किया हुआ है कि इट कैन नॉट बी इन्वेस्टेड इन सम अदर एग्जेम्पशन, देन वो हम लोग को कंसिडर करना पड़ेगा। 54 एफ में तो ऐसी कोई कंडीशंस नहीं है कि हम कोई और जगह कर सकते हैं, बट इसमें मेरे हिसाब से वी कैन विल हैव टू कंसीडर दैट जीबी पोर्शन कि उसमें कोई हमें रेस्ट्रिक्शन डाला है कि नहीं डाला है।
ओके, सो टू आंसर अनिल जी, 54 जीबी में अपने को एक बार देखना पड़ेगा, ऑल्दो 54 ऐप में ऐसा कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शंस नहीं है, राइट कुणाल जी?
जी जी।
या सो another question is from Sanjeev Goyal ji. In case of transfer of capital asset by way of gift by a company to another company, how do we calculate capital gain since the consideration is zero? Further, the recipient will be taxed on the deemed value of the gift under section 56.
सर इसमें तो बेसिकली यही है ना कि इफ देर इज नो कंसिडरेशन, द फेयर मार्केट वैल्यू विल बी द कंसिडर्ड कंसिडरेशन, एंड कैपिटल गेन उसी हिसाब से कैलकुलेट करनी पड़ेगी। जैसे हम कोई भी एक नॉर्मल ट्रांजैक्शन करते हैं जिसमें मान लीजिए जो हमें वो 110% स्टैम्प ड्यूटी वैल्यू वाला बेनिफिट मिला हुआ है, अगर वो एक्सीड करता है तो वी विल हैव टू टेक इट द स्टैम्प ड्यूटी वैल्यू। सो कंपनी केस में भी इसमें वही होगा कि विल हैव टू कंसिडर द फेयर मार्केट वैल्यू फॉर दैट, एंड विल हैव टू कैलकुलेट कैपिटल गेन फॉर द सेम। एंड रिगार्डिंग दिस गिफ्ट फॉर सेक्शन 56(2), जिसमें अपने को गिफ्ट को टैक्स जैसे हम लोग करते हैं वैसे ही करना पड़ेगा।
So, sir, we have another question from somebody joined as a name from Samsung. So, suppose we have a total LTCG of 1.5 lakh,
1.5,
including which 1 lakh pertains to before 23 July and 50,000 pertains after 23rd July. Then exemption of 1.25 lakh will be set off from which capital gain first?
सर इसमें एक बेसिक यही समझना पड़ेगा डेट कौन सी है। 23rd जुलाई डेट इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट डेट। सो हमें जो 23rd जुलाई के पहले जो ट्रांसफर हुई है, वी गेट अ बेनिफिट ऑफ 1 लाख रुपीज। सो सिंस आपका लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन 1.5 लाख का है उस 23 जुलाई के पहले, सो यू विल बी टैक्स्ड 50,000 एट द रेट 10%, एंड आफ्टर 23 जुलाई 50,000 पे जो आपका कैपिटल गेन आया है, यू विल गेट द बेनिफिट ऑफ 25,000। तो 25,000 पे आपको 12.5% देना है, एंड 50,000 पे 10% देना है। आपको कंसिडर ये करना ही पड़ेगा कि 23 जुलाई जो डेट है, उससे पहले आपके पास 1 ही लाख की लिमिट थी। आप मान लीजिए और कोई इनकम है नहीं आपकी, तो वो आपकी 23 जुलाई के पहले 1 लाख के ऊपर जो 50,000 है, उस पे आपको टैक्स 10% के हिसाब से देना ही है। एंड 23 जुलाई के पास 1,25,000 की एग्रीगेट लिमिट है। तो 1 लाख की लिमिट आपने ऑलरेडी कंज्यूम कर ली, तो आपके पास 25,000 बचा, तो 50,000 माइनस 25,000 वो आपको उस पर पेमेंट।
Thank you, sir. So, sir, another question from CA Manish Agarwal ji. Sir, I think if transfer is prior to 23rd July under section 112A, sorry, sir, I think if the transfer is prior to 25th July under section 112A, rate will be 10% and also exemption limit will be 1.25 lakh irrespective of date.
नो नो मनीष जी, ये हमें ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा कि 23 जुलाई के बाद की अमेंडमेंट है। सो 1.25 लाख का जो अमेंडमेंट है वो 23 जुलाई ऑनवर्ड्स ही है। उससे पहले 1 लाख ही है, और वो हमें बाइफरकेट करना ही पड़ेगा उसको।
So, any more question from anyone regarding the capital gain? So, I think we can move forward to the next topic.
यस सर। सो सिंस थैंक यू अमित जी। Since the capital portion was very short and crisp, we wanted to include TDS also in that. Now we can consider TDS for this. TDS में हमें काफी सारे sections में changes है. We are considering some of them. So basically, we are going to go through some of these 6 sections. That is TDS on salary. There is a small change. TDS on floating rate bonds, TDS on buyback, TDS on sale of contracts, and TDS on sale of immovable property. And the major section is TDS on payments to partners. That is 194T. So starting with the first one, TDS on salary. पहले क्या होता था कि एम्प्लॉयर जो है, he used to consider only the income of the income from salary and other income, and TDS thereon paid. But now a small amendment has been done that the employer shall consider the TDS also, whether income is generated out of it or not. Because पहले क्या होती थी, TDS on withdrawal of TCS on withdrawal of money, जो कैश डिपॉजिट या कैश विड्रॉल्स है, उस पे कंसिडर लॉ में नहीं था कहीं भी. So now we have amended this, and TDS employer shall consider this also. However, इसमें एक पॉइंट ध्यान रखने का है कि TCS कोई भी तरह की हो सकती है, whether it is income generating or not, like TCS purchase of car or anything like that. तो वो सब इसमें consider किया जाए. Now there is a small amendment in the floating rate bonds कि पहले इन bonds पे tax नहीं था. Now if income exceeds more than 10,000 during the financial year in this floating rate bonds, it shall be taxable under section 193. Since we have studied about the buyback of shares, now buyback will be considered as deemed dividend. So अगर वो dividend है, then it will be taxable under the head section 194 TDS on dividends. So we'll have to keep in mind कि अब पहले जो buyback पे TDS वगैरह की liability नहीं थी, अब वो हमें TDS point of angle से भी buyback पे जो अगर उसको हम लोग dividend मानते हैं, तो उसकी liability यहाँ हमें disclose करनी पड़ेगी और इसका हम लोग को payment करना पड़ेगा. TDS on contracts. There is a very small amendment to this about the TDS on contracts, but it has a very huge implication. Earlier, we as professionals have also seen that हमारी कई बार TDS क्लाइंट काट देता था सेक्शन 194C में, बोलता है ये तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है, हम 10% नहीं काट के 2% काटते हैं. So there has been specific amendment that if any sum paid, which is a contract, is paid to the person which falls within the scope of section 194J, then it shall not be considered as work under section 194C, and TDS cannot be deducted under section 194C. पहले ये लूप होल इसीलिए किया गया प्लग, बिकॉज क्या है, हम क्या करते थे, वर्क दिखा के उस पर 2% या 1% एज द केस भी टीडीएस काट देते थे। बट अभी क्या है, उसको उसको ठीक करने के लिए कि अगर कोई एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ऐसा है विच फॉल्स विद द परव्यू ऑफ 194 जे टेक्निकल सर्विस, तो इट विल बी कंसिडर्ड एज वर्क, बट इट विल नॉट बी टैक्सेबल अंडर सेक्शन 194 सी। हमें वो 194 जे में ही टैक्सेबल होगा। Now, a major thing 194T, which is also useful for us also, because maximum of us are in either in partnership, LLP, and or proprietorship. So 194T, which is from 1st April 2025 onwards, says that any payment to partners by way of salary, remuneration, interest, bonus, commission, anything to partners shall be taxable under here, shall be liable for TDS deduction under section 194T if it exceeds 20,000. So now, summarizing this, payment का nature क्या होगा, that has to be decided while it is being paid. नाउ हम क्या करते हैं, हमारी नॉर्मल जो पार्टनर ट्रेडिशनल पार्टनरशिप फर्म्स है उसमें हम लोग 10-10 हजार का ड्राइंग्स दिखा देते हैं, बट आइदर इट इज ड्राइंग्स और इट इज कमीशन और सैलरी or interest, we'll have to specify the nature as and when. नहीं तो the time of instance of TDS deduction is time of payment or credit, whichever is earlier. Corresponding this, if we transfer an amount to suspense but हम पार्टनर को दे देते हैं, हमें हो सकता है उसमें भी टीडीएस की लायबिलिटी आ जाए। और अगर वो बैकडेटेड है, मान लीजिए 1/4/25 के बाद कभी भी है, और हम वो एट द टाइम ऑफ ऑडिट देखते हैं, तो वो फिर एक मेजर ट्रबलसम फिगर बन सकता है क्लाइंट के लिए। सो इसमें क्या है कि अगर कोई पार्टनर को पेमेंट हो रहा है फ्रॉम द फर्म, देन ही हैज टू डिडक्ट 10% टीडीएस if the transfer exceeds 20,000 by way of salary, remuneration, commission, bonus or interest. Now there are many firms in which NRIs are partner. So उसमें क्या है, we have to consider 10% plus applicable surcharge and cess. Now if TDS काटना है but there is no PAN or Aadhaar, which might not be a case, तो उस पर 20% की liability आएगी. And higher rates के लिए है 206AB, that if he is a non-filer, then do we have to deduct at higher rates? The section says no, we do not have to deduct at higher rates. Now time of deduction will be at the time of payment or credit, whichever is earlier. मतलब हमने मान लीजिए बुक्स में कर दिया, तो वो हमें पेमेंट करना ही पड़ेगा टीडीएस। तो ये 194T will be very important for the coming days, because there is a new section and educating our clients will be very difficult for this, because इसमें क्या है, हो सकता है client will tell that इसको हम लोग 20,000 के नीचे कर सकते हैं, but the 20,000 threshold is for the whole year, not a month. So basically all the partnership firms will come under the purview of 194T. Government is kind enough, हमारे पास काम 194T का एक और डाल दिया हमारे सर पे कि आप काम कीजिए. So we'll have to follow this 194T while seeing all the partnership firms and LLPs. 2061F, earlier क्या था इसमें, we had to deduct 1% on the sale consideration exceeding 10 lakhs for the sale of motor vehicle, but now government has added 10 luxury items. The amendment is that apart from the sale of motor vehicle, luxury goods shall also be considered while calculating this 1% sales commission TCS. Please rectify me, it is TCS. It is TCS. So there are 10 items on which government has notified by Gazette that these also will be considered TCS, for TCS at the rate 1%. These are item wise. Any wristwatch, part of antique, collectibles, yacht, rowing boat, canoe, helicopter, pair of sunglasses, any bag, handbag, purse, pair of shoes, any sportswear equipment such as golf kits, skywear, any home theater system, any horse for horse racing in race clubs or for horse for polo. So basically ये 10 आइटम डाली गई है, इसमें इट इज आइटम वाइज बेसिकली. सो अगर हमने मान लीजिए एक घड़ी खरीदी एक पर्टिकुलर शॉप से, एंड वी आल्सो ब्रॉट अ शूज, दैट इज टोटलिंग इज, मान लीजिए घड़ी खरीदी हमने 8 लाख का, शूज खरीदा 8 लाख का. सो इट इज आइटम वाइज कि 8 लाख हमें घड़ी के लिए 10 लाख से एक्सीड नहीं कर रहा है, एंड शूज भी 10 लाख से एक्सीड नहीं कर रहा है. सो टीडीएस विल नॉट बी डिडक्टेबल. बट नाउ देयर इज नो सच क्लैरिफिकेशन कि इसमें अगर मान लीजिए सिंगल बिल हो, then it has to be deducted or not. But by plain reading of the section, I interpret that if it is item wise, then we do not have to deduct TCS for this. Now 194 IA. 194 IA talks about sale of immovable property other than agricultural land. The buyer is required to deduct TDS at the rate 1% if consideration is more than or equal to 50 lakhs. पहले क्या था, there was a confusion and that कि ये 50 lakhs का limit, it is either it is buyer wise और seller wise. मान लीजिए मेरे 2 बायर हैं और हम लोग 3 सेलर हैं, 1 करोड़ की प्रॉपर्टी डीलिंग हुई, तो एक एक सेलर दूसरे क्या बोलते हैं, एक बायर एक सेलर को 11 लाख समथिंग ही देगा. बट नाउ ये एक क्लैरिफिकेशन एडिंग हुई है कि ये जो ट्रांसफर होगा इट विल बी कंसिडर्ड एज द अमाउंट वाइज. माने मान लीजिए अगर डीड की वैल्यू 50 लाख या 50 लाख से ज्यादा है तो हमें 1% टीडीएस काटना ही पड़ेगा, भले उसमें 4 ट्रांसफर ही हो 4 ट्रांसफर हो, उससे कोई मतलब नहीं है. सो इसमें एक चीज हमें हमेशा ध्यान रखनी है, इसमें एग्रीकल्चरल लैंड हटाया गया ना, इसमें कोई रूरल का कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है, अर्बन का कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है, इसमें एग्रीकल्चरल लैंड को हटा दिया गया है. अपार्ट फ्रॉम एग्रीकल्चरल लैंड कोई भी मूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी, रेसिडेंशियल कमर्शियल कुछ भी ट्रांसफर होती है 50 लाख के ऊपर होती है, 50 लाख या 50 लाख के ऊपर, तो हमें 1% टीडीएस काटना पड़ेगा. नाउ देयर इज वन मोर थिंग इन दैट वी नीड टू कंसीडर, दैट मान लीजिए 51 लाख वाज द स्टैम्प ड्यूटी वैल्यू एंड द ट्रांजैक्शन वाज डन ऑन 49 lakhs. वो 110% का लिमिट भी सेटिस्फाई करता है. सो कैपिटल गेन के लिए तो 49 lakhs ही आएगा, बट फॉर टीडीएस he'll have to deduct at 51 lakhs. It is specifically mentioned that deduction shall be done at the time of payment on credit on the purchase consideration or the stamp duty value whichever is higher. मतलब मान लीजिए हमने जब ट्रांसफर किया है तब जो स्टैम्प ड्यूटी वैल्यू है और जो हमारा सेल कंसिडरेशन दोनों को मिलाना पड़ेगा. दोनों अगर 110% वाली लिमिट जो है उसको भी सेटिस्फाई करते हैं तभी भी मेरे को 51 लाख पे ही काटना पड़ेगा. अब इसमें और एक बात है, कई लोग क्या करते हैं एट द टाइम ऑफ रजिस्ट्री काटते हैं, बट इट विल बी एट द टाइम ऑफ पेमेंट और क्रेडिट. मान लीजिए आपने एक बुक एडजस्टमेंट भी कर दिया सामने वाले के साथ, तो भी आपको काटनी पड़ेगी. या फिर आपने पेमेंट किया 10-10 लाख करके 4 बार में, तो आपको 4 बार काटनी पड़ेगी. ये नहीं कर सकते कि एट द टाइम ऑफ रजिस्ट्री हम डायरेक्टली 51 लाख पे एक बार काट दी. ये हमारे साथ कई बार हुआ है, क्लाइंट इस पे ध्यान नहीं देते क्योंकि इस पे उनका नॉलेज लिमिटेड है, बिकॉज दिस ट्रांजेक्शन डज नॉट हैपन when we are involved. We are only involved after the client comes to us and tells कि sir we have sold this property, now we need an exemption और इस पे कैपिटल गेन बताइए. क्योंकि इससे पहले उसने वकील के साथ ट्रांजैक्शन कर लिया है और वकील ने उनको नॉलेज नहीं दिया कि आपको इसको टीडीएस काटना है. सो दिस इज वेरी फ्रीक्वेंट नाउअडेज, बट दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग टू नोट दैट हमें स्टैम्प ड्यूटी वैल्यू और सेल कंसिडरेशन दोनों को कंसीडर करना पड़ेगा व्हाइल कैलकुलेटिंग दिस टीडीएस अमाउंट. See, I have consolidated it कि 1 अक्टूबर 2024 से ये आया था, बट इट इज इम्प्लाइड फ्रॉम प्रीवियसली ओनली कि हमें ट्रांजैक्शन को देखना है, हमें इससे मतलब नहीं है कि कितने बायर है कितने सेलर है. अगर हमारा ट्रांजैक्शन हुआ है और डीड की अमाउंट 50 लाख से 50 लाख से ज्यादा है तो हमें 1% टीडीएस काटना पड़ेगा. अब 1% टीडीएस कटेगा प्रोपोर्शनेट वाइज, जिसका जो शेयर है प्रॉपर्टी में उसके हिसाब से, जो बायर का रेशियो उसके हिसाब से. So that's all, everyone, for this today's session. I
So
hope
I
any queries we can
have
address it.
question answer round. So any participant having any question regarding the TDS and the change in the capital gain provision, they can ask. So first of all, there is a question from one of the participant. Will we get rebate under section 87A for STCG under both the regime?
No, now there is for STCG, since it is a special rate income, 87A rebate will not be available, either is in old scheme or new scheme.
Okay. And there is another question from Rajesh Shaw. Sir, if at the time of paying TDS, assessment year 25-26 was selected instead of selecting assessment year 26-27 for April 2025 TDS payment, is it possible to change the AY? So AY 25
I
26 की जगह उन्होंने 26 सॉरी 26 27 की जगह उन्होंने
I
25
I, I
दिया है.
think there is a process to get it changed. It is a lengthy process, I suppose, Amit ji. You'll have to explain it. But आपको ना ये जो सेक्शन जो चेंज करना है, ये अवेलेबिलिटी है. मतलब ये ऐसा नहीं है कि आपका ये चला जाएगा ये पैसा. यू हैव एन ऑप्शन टू चेंज. ये आपको ट्रेसेस की वेबसाइट में जाके देयर इज अ होल सिस्टम विल चेंज. If you want, I can share my number with you and I'll help you with that process.
So you can change the assessment year via correction in Chalan on traces, and for detail you
हाँ.
can connect with the Kunal. So another question from Anand Agarwal ji: if payment made in two part, both in different financial year, then how should TDS deducted?
सर आपका जो पेमेंट है दैट इज नॉट कंसिडर्ड दैट कंसिडर आई होप आनंद जी इज टॉकिंग ऑफ 194 IA.
I also hope that is for the yes
Yeah,
IA.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So 194 IA, when we file 26 QB, they ask about the sale date. So you will have to select that date. Sale date shall remain stagnant. मान लीजिए हमने 3 years में भी अगर पेमेंट किया है, बट सेल डेट जो है, एग्रीमेंट डेट जो है, दैट विल बी फिक्स. आपकी पेमेंट डेट्स को कंसीडर वो ऑटोमेटिकली कर लेगा. आप जो डेट डालोगे ना, he'll consider that automatically, and उसी हिसाब से it will file 26 QB. This shall not be a problem in selection financial year wise.
So basically TDS to be deducted on the time of payment,
Yeah,
right?
time of payment is necessary for deduction, but assessment year will be finalized at the time of आपका say date of agreement.
Date of payment, right. So another question from
If some
Arijit Shah.
partners are
If some
TDS.
partners from a partnership firm and taking admission new partners, partnership firm is maintaining only partners capital account, they are closing the old partners capital account and creating loan account in the name of new partner. So do they need to deduct TDS, and is it correct way if only partners account is maintained?
मैं एक बार वापस read करता हूँ. If some partners from a partnership firm and taking admission new partners, partnership firm is maintaining only partners capital account. Okay, they are closing old partners capital account and creating loan account in the name of partners. So do they need to deduct TDS, and is it correct way if only partners capital account is maintained? सी बेसिकली मैं समझना जो चाह रहा था अमित जी, इसमें ये कहना चाह रहे हैं कि मान लीजिए पार्टनर ए बी सी थे, ए ने एग्जिट लिया और डी ने एंट्री लिया. ए का जो कैपिटल था उसने उनको लोन ट्रीट कर दिया कैपिटल से हटा के. यही बोलना चाह रहे हैं सपोज. So this for this I don't think 194T will be applicable. But अगर उन्होंने एग्जिट दिया है, मान लीजिए उस समय तक का जो उनका रेमुनरेशन बोनस इंटरेस्ट जो बनता है, अगर वो 20,000 से एक्सीड करता है अरिजीत जी, तब आपको 10% टीडीएस काटनी पड़ेगी. बैलेंस पे पूरा अमाउंट पे आपको टीडीएस काटना नहीं पड़ेगा. And regarding this correct way, so if the client can maintain capital account and current account, that is the best way to maintain the books of accounts for the partnership firm. क्योंकि for LLP you'll have to maintain capital account and current account because obligations का फर्क है LLP में. But for regular partners or traditional partnerships, we'll have to maintain. If you do not maintain capital account separately and there is transfer from capital to loan account, I don't think, in my opinion, there will be any section for 194T, but you'll have to consider that the period till which you have the partner was the person was the partner, you'll have to deduct TDS for the portion if it exceeds 20,000.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, there is another question from Rajesh Pahadi ji. A company reimburses the medical expense to their retired employees as a part of obligation. Will the reimbursement of medical expense be subject to TDS? If yes, under which section?
Sir, I'll have to go through this section once. Rajesh ji, I'll share you the details soon because I'll have to check it with this कि ये कोई उस obligation में आता है कि नहीं आता है. Currently, I'm not well with this section. Gold
So,
bond.
sir, another question: Are gold Bs and silver Bs ETFs comes under the debt fund while calculating capital gain?
Are gold Bs and silver Bs ETFs considered under debt fund? Like, so debt fund ka calculation is there because if there is a 35% and 65% rule for the debt fund, you'll have to consider if full amount is considered under gold and silver, then it will be under debt fund only. But there is a change in the holding period. It is considered 36 months to 24 months after 23rd July.
Any more questions from any of the participant? Okay, sir. Meanwhile, I also have a query regarding the TDS on partners.
Yes, sir.
So,
I
suppose
hope
if
I can. I hope I can.
I'm sure, sir. So, like, suppose we have a capital of 1 crore as on the starting date of the year, and during the year, including all the remuneration and whatever the name of remuneration
Anything. Okay.
is 50 lakh, but the cumulate withdrawing is around 80 lakh or something. So, we need to deduct the TDS on 50 lakh or 80 lakh rupees.
Sir, this is a very good question from your part. We have to deduct it only on 50 lakhs because law clearly states that any amount in respect of commission, interest, bonus, or something like that, in excess of 20,000 shall be under the purview of 194T. So, in my opinion, it will be 50 lakhs only because 80 lakhs is 30 lakhs is the capital which he has withdrawn.
So सर कैन आई पुट इट दैट वे कि 31st मार्च 2025 को जो भी कैपिटल बैलेंस है फॉर द रिस्पेक्टिव पार्टनर दैट इज नॉट सब्जेक्ट टू टीडीएस.
हाँ सर, मान सकते हैं बट इसका इम्प्लीकेशन समझना ये पड़ेगा कि हमें जो 1 अप्रैल से जो एडिशन हो रही है, रिवर्स इम्प्लीकेशन अगर समझते हैं कि 1 अप्रैल से जो एडिशन हो रही है अपार्ट फ्रॉम कैपिटल कंट्रीब्यूशन, उस पर टैक्स देना है टीडीएस.
करेक्ट करेक्ट. सो अगर मैं पॉइंट मतलब विड्रॉइंग पॉइंट से बात कर रहा था कि सपोज मेरा अगर विड्रॉइंग
ड्राइंग्स पे टीडीएस नहीं आएगा सर.
नहीं है.
मतलब ड्राइंग्स अगर ओवर हो जाती है इनकम से, मान लीजिए शेयर ऑफ प्रॉफिट पे नहीं है ये एंड ड्राइंग्स पे नहीं, तो उसके अलावा अगर कोई चीज है तो उस पे है टीडीएस. अब हमें एक चीज ये भी ध्यान रखनी पड़ेगी कि ये 2 लाख का लिमिट भी है, वो जो कैश लिमिट है. अर्लियर वी यूज टू इंट्रोड्यूस कैश इन एनी वे फॉर द पार्टनर्स. वो 2 लाख का लिमिट भी हमें ध्यान रखना चाहिए जब ये पार्टनरशिप फंड की हमारी चर्चा हो रही है कि 2 लाख का लिमिट भी हमें ध्यान रहे कि हम उससे ज्यादा कैश इंट्रोड्यूस नहीं कर दे फर्म में.
Okay, so moving ahead, sir, there is another question from Nitesh Agarwal ji. Can we claim indexation benefit for sale of unlisted share sold after 23/7/24? Period of holding is long term.
सर, अनलिस्टेड शेयर्स को तो हमेशा ही ये आपको इंडेक्सेशन बेनिफिट शायद इसमें अवेलेबल नहीं होगा. इसमें एक मिनट, लेट मी चेक वंस.
Meanwhile, Kunal ji is back to answer Anup ji regarding the attendance of this virtual learning session can be claimed as unstructured learning. So yes, you can claim it as a unstructured learning via your CPE portal. You can go into the CPE portal, fill up the unstructured learning form, and you can claim the same. Over to you, Kunal ji.
This unlisted equity shares, period of holding sold after 23rd 7, हमें ये 24 मंथ्स का देखना पड़ेगा, पीरियड भी होगा, पीरियड जो होगा वो 24 मंथ्स है, उस पे अवेलेबल है लॉन्ग टर्म में। कैन अटेंडेंस
Another question from another participant. Can we claim indexation benefit if we have purchased gold on 2003 and sold it after 23rd July 2025 or 4? I guess 2024 होना चाहिए।
मतलब इसमें आप कोई भी एसेट हो, कैपिटल एसेट की डेफिनेशन में आती है गोल्ड, ठीक है। मैं मतलब हमें कोई भी कैपिटल एसेट हो, अगर हम 23rd जुलाई के बाद बेचते हैं, 23rd जुलाई या 23rd जुलाई के बाद, तो हमारे पास दोनों ऑप्शन अवेलेबल है। इसमें क्या होगा कि मान लीजिए मैंने गोल्ड खरीदा था 100 रुपए में, आज गोल्ड 10,000 रुपए है, तो मैं 10,000 - 100 करके 12.5% पे भी जा सकता हूँ, या फिर 100 - 10 करके जो भी टैक्स रेट था पुराना, उस पर भी जा सकता हूँ। मतलब हमें जो इंडेक्सेशन बेनिफिट के लिए बात करनी है, वो देखनी पड़ेगी 23rd जुलाई के पहले तो नहीं है। अगर 23rd जुलाई के पहले तो आपको इंडेक्सेशन जो मिलता था वही रहेगा। 23rd जुलाई के बाद आप कुछ भी बेचो, आप दोनों कैलकुलेशन ले लो, जो क्लाइंट के लिए बेनिफिशियल हो उस पर आप चलो। इसको लेके मेरे हिसाब से इनका क्वेश्चन इसलिए आया होगा, बिकॉज जो मैं चीज बोलना चाह रहा था कि 23rd जुलाई के बाद शायद सॉफ्टवेयर नहीं ले रहा है इंडेक्सेशन, वो ऑटोमेटिकली खाली डायरेक्ट जो
Total.
टैक्स रेट है उसको मार दे रहा है। मेरे को लगता है उसी की वजह से ये क्वेरी उनकी जनरेट।
Any more question from any of the participant? I guess that's all, and that was a very interactive session on the topic of uh, very hot topic of recent changes in capital gain as well as the TDS. So on behalf of EIRC and all the participants, I thank you, CA Kunal Agarwal ji, for such a fantastic presentation and explanation on the topic. So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us. We really appreciate you taking the time to explain the recent changes in capital gain and TDS provision. And I'm sure everyone found it very helpful. So thank you once again for your time and expertise. And we hope to collaborate again in the very near future. So as we know, so
There
there
is
is
a
a
query, I suppose.
question, I guess. So I will just take that question. Just a clarification short. Whether that scheme of calculating that dual calculation before and after the date is for land and building or for all the assets.
It is for all the assets, land and building or both.
Okay. So with this, I guess sir, one more question is there. What if we sold debt orient mutual fund and we have LTCG arising from this of rupees 5 lakh before 23rd July and
50,000.
40,000, 50,000, 40,000 before and after 25th July.
What if we sold debt oriented fund and we have long term capital gain? सर इसमें तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं आनी चाहिए ना, फिफ्टी
लाख
थाउजेंड
रुपए
और 40,000 है तो दोनों ही लाख रुपए के नीचे ही है।
के ऊपर है, so not an
हाँ,
issue in either
नो
case.
नो प्रॉब्लम इन दिस।
Okay. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you again on behalf of AIRC and all the participants,
थैंक
and
यू।
thank you participant for joining us for the session. And we will meet you again with a new speaker on the new topic on Friday at same time, 5 o'clock, on the same link and same meeting ID. So thank you so much, Kunalji, for making us enlightening about the topic of the
Thank,
day.
thank you so much everyone for this patient hearing. I hope to come soon again and deliver something on this. And please everyone follow this golden charcha, because it is not only it is enhancing our knowledge, but it helps us to grow. That even if it is not our subject, it enlightens us कि नहीं ये भी law चल रहा है, ये भी हो रहा है। So we'll have to, earlier was done by, I think, Vivek ji, it was on EPF and everything. So although I do not practice in EPF, but after listening to him, I was like, we should start doing practice in that also. So I want everyone to make this Golden Charcha a very good platform. And I thank Amit Bhaiya and Aditya Bhaiya for inviting me to this platform and delivering it. And thank you all for patient hearing.
Thank you so much, sir. So we are just completed our 14th session out of the 50 session that we'll be going to conduct. So meet you again on Friday.
Sure.
Thank you so much,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.